Welcome to Summarize, where every great book is transformed into powerful, clear, and easy-to-digest audio summaries. Save time, learn faster, and upgrade your mind one book at a time. This is Summarize, Wisdom Made Simple. Ego is the Enemy book by Ryan Holiday. Imagine standing at the edge of your greatest ambition, heart pounding with the thrill of possibility, only to feel a whisper in your ear, subtle, seductive, insistent. It's not doubt, it's ego, that ancient foe dressed in the guise of confidence, urging you to skip the grind, to claim the crown before you've earned it. Ryan Holiday's Ego is the Enemy isn't just a book. It's a mirror held up to the human soul, a battle cry against the invisible saboteur that derails dreams, poisons triumphs, and turns setbacks into self-inflicted wounds. Drawing from the Stoic philosophers of antiquity, the hard-won wisdom of generals and artists, and the raw confessions of modern icons, Holiday dissects ego not as a villain to vanquish, but as a force to master, one that lurks in every phase of life, when we aspire, when we succeed, and when we fail. This isn't pop psychology fluff. It's a practical manifesto, packed with stories that sting and strategies that stick. As Holiday warns right from the start, ego is the enemy of what you want and what you have, of mastering a craft, of true creative insight, of building lasting alliances. It's the magnet for mistakes, the repeller of opportunity. But here's the good news. Awareness is the first weapon. Let's walk this path together, from the fire of aspiration to the fog of failure, learning to sidestep ego's traps and emerge not just victorious, but wiser, humbler, unbreakable. Holiday kicks off with a personal gut punch from his early days in Hollywood, managing talents like Tim Ferriss and advising on American Apparel's wild marketing stunts. He saw ego everywhere, directors demanding credit for others' ideas, executives chasing viral fame over substance. It wasn't just destructive, it was predictable. Ego, he argues, is the voice that says, "I deserve this now," blinding us to the quiet work that builds empires. Think of it like a fever. It feels productive, but it's delirium. Holiday pulls from history's heavy hitters to make his case. Take General George Marshall during World War II, who turned down the spotlight of leading the D-Day invasion because he knew his ego might cloud the bigger picture. Or consider the young Benjamin Franklin, who reinvented himself by silencing his arrogant impulses and becoming a humble apprentice to the craft of self-improvement. These aren't fairy tales, they're blueprints. Holiday's core thesis? Life unfolds in three brutal stages: aspiration, success, failure, and ego poisons each one differently. In aspiration, it whispers shortcuts. In success, it breeds complacency. In failure, it fuels denial. The antidote: humility as a daily practice, not a one-off pose. As the Stoic Marcus Aurelius journaled in his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Holiday echoes that. Strip away the ego, and what's left is clarity, the real fuel for progress. Diving into part 1, Aspire. This is the hunger phase, where dreams ignite, but ego fans the flames into a wildfire that consumes the forest. Holiday opens with the passion paradox, warning that passion without discipline is just ego in disguise. You see it in the wide-eyed entrepreneur who quits their job on a whim, chasing a big idea without testing the waters. Holiday shares the story of a Silicon Valley hotshot who raised millions on hype alone, only to crash when the product flopped. Ego convinced him feedback was for losers. Contrast that with Angela Merkel, Germany's unflashy chancellor, who rose through quiet competence, not charisma. Her secret? She treated politics like science. Observe, hypothesize, test, refine. No ego-fueled speeches, just results. Holiday urges us to channel passion into what he calls the obstacle is the way mindset, turn barriers into breakthroughs. But ego resists that. It wants glory now. So how do we fight back? Start with the apprentice's vow. Show up, shut up, learn. Holiday spotlights J.K. Rowling, scribbling Harry Potter in Edinburgh cafes while on welfare, not because she was special, but because she surrendered to the work. Ego would have had her pitching half-baked manuscripts to agents. Humility let her hone the craft until it shone. Next, the discipline of your passions. Here, Holiday flips the script on the follow your passion mantra. Blind pursuit leads to burnout. Disciplined focus builds mastery. He recounts the tale of General Dwight D. Eisenhower, who, as a young officer, could have chased promotions but instead volunteered for unglamorous postings, studying logistics in the trenches. That quiet grind made him the architect of D-Day. Ego craves the stage. Success demands the shadows. Holiday quotes the poet William Butler Yeats. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Ouch! To counter, he prescribes detachment. Love the work, not the outcome. Think of the chef who obsesses over knife skills, not Michelin stars. Or the writer who revises endlessly, deaf to praise. Holiday's advice is stoic gold. Visualize failure daily. Imagine the deal falling through, the book bombing, the race lost. It inoculates you against ego's false invincibility. And when doubt creeps in, embrace it as a teacher. As Holiday puts it, doubt is not a sign of weakness. It's an opportunity to dig deeper. We can't talk aspiration without the humility trap. Ego dresses up as confidence, but true self-assurance comes from reality testing, not delusion. Holiday drags us through the rise and fall of Howard Hughes, the aviator tycoon whose genius birthed innovations, but whose ego-fueled isolation turned him into a paranoid recluse, squandering billions. Hughes ignored advisors, chased impossible records, and died alone. Lesson: surround yourself with truth-tellers, people who'll call your bluff. Holiday nods to Sheryl Sandberg, who, at Facebook, built a culture of radical candor, where even the CEO gets feedback like anyone else. In your own life, seek critics, not cheerleaders. Audit your circle. Do they challenge you or cushion you? Ego hoards yes men. Wisdom invites the no. And here's a gem. Practice saying, I don't know. It disarms ego and opens doors. Holiday shares how Warren Buffett credits his success to admitting ignorance early and often, reading voraciously instead of bluffing expertise. Aspiration isn't a solo sprint. It's a humble marathon, fueled by curiosity over certainty. As we climb higher, work hammers home that ego despises tedium. It wants the TED Talk, not the typing. Holiday invokes Mike Tyson, the boxer who dominated with raw power but crumbled when ego led him to party harder than he punched. Tyson's early wins fed the beast, discipline starved it. The fix? Ritualize the boring. Holiday describes his own routine. Right at dawn, no distractions, because ego thrives on novelty, wilts under repetition. Draw from Angela Arendt's, Burberry's turnaround queen, who revived the brand not with flashy ads, but by obsessing over supply chains and store layouts. Unsexy work that paid dividends. Ego whispers, you're above this. Humility replies, this is the path. And when motivation flags, remember Seneca, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Stack the odds with sweat, not swagger. Part 1 closes with become a student. Ego thinks it knows. The student knows it doesn't. Holiday spotlights Eleanor Roosevelt, who, thrust into the White House, could have coasted on her name, but instead devoured books on diplomacy, turning personal grief into public service. Her ego? Tamed by lifelong learning. Holiday challenges us. Read what disagrees with you. Apprentice under those better than you. Question everything. In a world of instant experts, the real edge is eternal novicehood. As aspiration ends, we step into success, where ego waits, fattened and ferocious. Part 2. Success. You've made it. The book deal, the promotion, the applause. But Holiday warns, this is ego's playground. The hazard of success opens with cautionary fire. Fame is a solvent. It dissolves character if you're not vigilant. Look at David Foster Wallace, the literary genius whose infinite jest redefined fiction, but whose ego-soaked isolation led to tragedy. Success amplified his flaws, turning brilliance into burden. Holiday contrasts with Katharine Graham, Washington Post owner during Watergate, who navigated scandal not by dictating, but by listening to Woodward, Bernstein, even Nixon's foes. Her humility preserved her legacy. The trap? Entitlement. Ego says, I've arrived. Reality demands. Now prove it sustains. Holiday's prescription, stay small. Success is a test of stewardship, not ownership. Delegate, don't dominate. Praise, don't preen. And keep your head down. Holiday dissects the spotlight's curse. Celebrities implode because ego craves validation, but validation is fleeting. He shares Johnny Cash's near-fatal slide into drugs and divorce post-fame, redeemed only when he returned to roots. Simple songs, simple life. Ego inflated him. Humility grounded him. For us mortals, it's the same. After a win, double down on work, not worship. Holiday quotes General Mattis, "If in doubt, do the harder thing." Success invites laziness. Fight it with rigor. Audit your time. Is it spent building or basking? And remember, praise is poison if swallowed whole. Use it as feedback, not fuel. The fetishization of success exposes how ego turns achievement into idolatry. We chase symbols, titles, toys, over substance. Holiday rips into the 2008 financial crash, where bankers' egos bet the farm on genius trades, ignoring risks. Contrast with Trader Joe founder Joe Colomb, who built an empire on quirky stores and employee empowerment, never seeking the billionaire spotlight. His ego? Non-existent. His focus? Customers. Holiday urges, redefine success as impact, not income. Measure by lives touched, not likes garnered. As ego fetishizes, it forgets. Today's peak is tomorrow's plateau. Stay hungry or starve. We pivot to the downfall of the ego, where Holiday shows success as ego's undoing. It breeds paranoia, enemies everywhere, allies dismissed. Think of Napoleon, crowning himself emperor, only to exile himself through hubris. Or modern CEOs like Uber's Travis Kalanick, ousted for toxic bravado. The remedy? Paranoia of a different sort. Assume you're always one misstep from ruin. Holiday borrows from Jerry Seinfeld. Treat every gig like your first. Rehearse relentlessly. Complacency kills. And cultivate gratitude. Not the Instagram kind, but the quiet acknowledgement that success is borrowed to be paid forward. Expect betrayal is brutal honesty. Success attracts snakes. Ego blinds you to them, insisting on loyalty oaths. Holiday recounts the fall of Enron's Jeff Skilling, who surrounded himself with yes-men, missing the fraud brewing. Lesson: vet motives, not just resumes. Build alliances on mutual respect, not mutual gain. As Marcus Aurelius advised, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Ego takes betrayal personally. Wisdom sees it as data. Part 2 winds down with the comfort zone, ego's velvet trap. Comfort whispers, you've earned rest. Reality demands evolution. Holiday spotlights the Beatles' post-fame evolution, from Hamburg dives to Sgt. Pepper reinvention, fueled by discomfort seeking. Stagnate, and ego ensures obsolescence. Push boundaries. Learn a new skill. Seek tough mentors. Success isn't a destination, it's a direction. Now, the crucible. Part 3. Failure. Here, ego doesn't inflate. It deflates into delusion and despair. The greatest paradox sets the stage. Failure is inevitable. Ego makes it fatal. Holiday opens with the 1972 Andes crash, where survivors like Nando Pardue hiked out not on hope, but humble realism. Rationing, enduring. Ego would have panicked. They planned. Failure strips pretensions, revealing truth. Embrace it as tuition paid for wisdom. In the face of failure, Holiday urges ownership without self-flagellation. Blame shifting is ego's dodge. Accountability is growth's door. He shares his own flop with a book launch that tanked, redeemed by dissecting what went wrong. No excuses, just adjustments. Think of Abraham Lincoln, who buried electoral losses like badges, emerging tempered for the presidency. Ego wallows. Humility harvests lessons. Ask, what can I control? What did I miss? Failure's gift is clarity, if you claim it. The path through failure is resilience incarnate. Holiday invokes Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor, whose man's search for meaning was born in camps, not comfort. Frankl's logotherapy? Meaning amid meaninglessness. Ego quits at the first no. The resilient reframe it as not yet. Build anti-fragility. Small failures as stress tests. As Holiday says, the only real failure is the failure to learn from failure. Failure and fault dissects ego's blame game. It's never my fault. It's the market, the team, the times. Holiday counters with the story of General Robert E. Lee, who owned Gettysburg's disaster, resigning rather than deflecting. Fault admitted frees you, denial chains you. Practice postmortems. Win or lose, review ruthlessly. Ego protects the image. Truth rebuilds the self. Draw strength from failure, flips the script. Setbacks as superpowers. Holiday spotlights Michael Jordan, cut from high school basketball, channeling rage into 6 championships. Or J.K. Rowling again, rejected 12 times. Her failures forging Harry Potter's grit. Failure builds calluses, mental toughness ego skips. Harvest the energy, grief into gratitude, loss into legacy. Failure and resentment, warns of ego's bitter fruit. Resentment festers when we nurse wounds instead of healing. Holiday rips into Alexander Dumas, whose envy of rivals poisoned his pen, unlike his father, who rose above slights. Release the grudge, it's ego's anchor. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Forgive not for them, but for you. Lighten the load. The final salvo, don't make enemies. Ego turns rivals into foes. Wisdom finds common ground. Holiday recounts the Cold War's end, not through Reagan's bluster alone, but Gorbachev's humility in admitting flaws. Enemies drain, allies amplify. Even in defeat, extend the hand. Ego resists, but it disarms. Holiday wraps in the epilogue with a stoic charge. Every day, you'll face aspiration, success, or failure. Ego will tempt. Fight it with this sweeping the floor mentality. Humble, daily acts that compound into greatness. As he quotes Angela Merkel again, I never underestimate flying under the radar. Or Buffett, the best investment is in yourself. This book isn't a cure, it's a compass. Apply it. Next rejection, breathe and learn. Next win, deflect the praise. Next dream, apprentice eagerly. Ego is the enemy, but you're the hero, if you choose to be. In a world screaming for significance, true power lies in silence, in service, in the quiet conquest of self. Step forward, unburdened, and watch what unfolds. Not glory, perhaps, but something better. A life well lived, echoing long after the applause fades. You've just listened to Summarize. If you enjoyed this summary, support the channel by liking and subscribing. It helps the knowledge reach more people. Until next time, keep learning.